Welcome to the DC TV Report, special mini-episode review of Justice League. I'm Edward O'Hare, nickname to be determined.
And I'm Sara, academic by day, freelance writer by night. And we don't just do small screen entertainment. Oh no, we do big screen entertainment.
Yup. Well, we cover all the DC TV shows. We thought it only appropriate that, there was a big giant movie that came out this weekend. That we should say something.
Yes, yeah. To ignore it would be shirking our duty to the good people of the world who want to know what we think about Justice League. So with that in mind, Ed, what did you think about Justice League?
So general impressions, I really liked it. Now, just to give a little bit of background, I respect Man of Steel. I think it's a well-made film, but I do have some issues with the portrayal of Superman. Batman vs Superman was kind of disappointing. Suicide Squad was almost made me suicidal. But I did like Wonder Woman. I thought that was a glimmer of hope. So as a huge DC fan, I really wanted to like this, and it did not disappoint. And I may enjoy this more than most, but I am so thankful that it is of some quality, and I feel like it finally got the tone for these characters right. And it's not perfect, but I think that the DCEU is now headed in the right direction. Sara?
I liked it.
Okay.
I didn't love it, but then, where we're coming from, you have, is it fair to say decades of comic reading in your history? And I'm less well informed and well read, particularly in the classic DC hero comic lines. So I don't have that same background. I liked it well enough. I always like a getting the team together movie. Pretty much any movie that requires recruiting a team, I'm gonna enjoy. And so I did enjoy that. There were lots of moments that I thought were, there were good fights, there was good action, there's good banter. But overall, it just doesn't have the joy and the zip and the chemistry, I guess, and also the color palette of movies that I really, really, really enjoy. So it wasn't quite there for me, but it wasn't as dire as I feared. I like you. Man of Steel was fine. Batman vs Superman, I don't even acknowledge. Suicide Squad, while it was the best Will Smith performance in years, it was a terrible movie. And of course, Wonder Woman, I loved. So coming off of my Wonder Woman expectations, this let me down a little bit. Coming off of my Batman vs Superman expectations, I was blown away, I guess, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah. I think that's kind of like, it depends on where you're coming from. I am later this evening as we record this, I'm going to be recording an episode of Wicked Theory. And I think I'm going to go on there just, acting like this is just the second movie in this universe.
Were there other movies? I wasn't aware.
Yeah. Really interesting that they start off with the premise that Superman's dead.
It's a bold narrative choice to come out of nowhere with that. Honestly, I couldn't remember how Batman versus Superman died. Like, that's how little an impression that movie made on me. I had to turn to my husband and be like, did Superman die? He was like, I don't remember. So, which is terrible because we're comic book movie fans. But I spent all of Batman versus Superman so furious that they didn't follow the graphic novel. They had this beautiful blueprint of how this should go, and they didn't do that. So, whatever.
Yeah.
But this is not about that movie. This is about Justice League.
This is about Justice League. And so let's just forget spoilers. We are going to be spoiling some things going into third act revelations.
Does that start now, or are we still doing general? Let's do one quick general before we get into spoilers.
Sure.
What did you think about the characterization of each of the heroes? Did you feel like the movie got them tonally, verbally, all of that?
Yes. Yeah. I think Wonder Woman stayed true to what she did in her solo movie.
Mhm.
I think they carried that through, but they did reference, they did reference some other stuff. I think the Flash was the comic relief of the bunch, and I thought, at times he was a little grating, but was still fun and projected that energy. Cyborg, you have this kind of tragic story, which is something that I've always felt like the comics should go in and could delve more into, and I think they hit that note right here. Um, and Batman was just, this guy seeking redemption. Um, and I think that was really cool. Aquaman was just a bro.
Oh, such a
Um,
bro. Okay. Well, this might be for the
yeah,
spoiler section, but I have thoughts about Aquaman.
yeah, and that's a very different characterization. Although, if you're talking about a young Aquaman who hasn't accepted his role as King of Atlantis yet, I guess that fits.
Mhm.
Um, and I thought these characters were varied, and I thought they meshed well together. Um, you definitely saw some of the touches of Joss Whedon's work in here. And I'm interested to see exactly how much he did reshoot and how much he did rewrite. Um, you know,
I didn't see as much Joss Whedon as I wanted to. I
yeah.
feel like the movie would have benefited from more of his touch because he does such a fantastic job of the blending characters and the dialogue, the back and forth, and the we're all a team and we're all different personalities. They did have that, but I've seen Joss do it better elsewhere. And I realized he
Mhm.
came in sort of at the end and didn't have a blank palette to work with, but I would have liked a little bit more Joss. Can I say a quick non-spoilery word about The Flash?
Yeah, go for it.
So I went in wanting to like The Flash, even though Grant Gustin, he's my Flash. He's the TV Flash. I think
Hmm.
he does such a beautiful job with Barry. But I thought, okay, well, they can't have the TV actor in the movie. I get that. So I went in hoping I would love it. I did not love The Flash. I really wanted to. I really did. But like you say, I found him just a little, and maybe this is a comic portrayal, but a little more awkward and a little more grating. I think did you say
Yeah, it's a
grating?
grading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that. Yeah. I wanted to be absolutely blown away. Kind of like to compare Marvel. Sorry. I know this is not that
Hmm.
podcast. But uh Quicksilver,
Yeah. Yeah.
he they had similar effects in the movie, the speed with the slow motion effects. And I just feel like if you try to kind of take that approach with the Flash, he's got to be funnier, more endearing, and it didn't quite get there for me. I really did go in with an open mind thinking, please, I want to like this Flash. And boy, I didn't. And I don't know
Mhm.
if it was the writing or the performance or what, but I was disappointed that I didn't come away just like, yeah, the Flash was my favorite part. So there you have it. Grant Gustin remains my Flash.
Yeah. And obviously they have to do something different. They made him more socially awkward. It felt like that he was actually trying to channel Sheldon Cooper at a couple of points.
Maybe that's why I
Um,
didn't like it. That might explain some things. That explains literally everything. Bam.
that whole thing. People are hard to figure out. Just a tough nut to
Hmm.
crack. um, But yeah, no, and well, I mean, I feel like if we talk about Superman at all, that's going to be a spoiler. Um,
Yeah, I'm scanning my notes to see if there's anything. I guess in general, I would say I I I thought Wonder Woman was handled better cinematically, camera work
mhm,
wise in her own movie. And this is where I get into a little bit of the feminist film theory side of things. Uh, Under the direction of a female director, the camera work for Wonder Woman showcased her strength, her power, and her ability. Under Snyder/Whedon, I did see Wonder Woman's underwear several more times than I remember seeing it in Wonder Woman, and there definitely was a butt shot, like super obvious, super leering. And so there was a little bit of camera work that I didn't appreciate with Wonder Woman. It focused a little bit more on check out them gams and a little less on she's strong, she's capable. That doesn't mean that she wasn't strong and capable. She was. She absolutely was. And
mhm,
uh there were several scenes of extremely shirtless men. So I really can't complain too much about objectification, but it is a little different when she's the lone woman, and the camera does treat her a little bit differently with a couple of upskirt shots and things like that. That's all I'm going to say. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting. But when you compare it to the camera work of Wonder Woman, which just focused on power and competence, it was a little disappointing. So, okay, here endeth the feminist rant.
All right. All right, so
spoilers.
All right, and spoilers. Spoilers. Okay.
Man, could you believe they all died? No, I'm kidding.
The Superman stuff I thought was cool. I thought that his arc made sense, that he comes back crazy and then Lois calms him down.
Although I did say, when Lois shows up, I turned to my husband and said, listen, if he kills her, I am walking out, because I really didn't know at that point. And also, it's Snyder. Like, who does Superman kill? I don't know. Everybody. By the way, we were in a movie theater basically alone. I sound like I talked a lot. I'm not a jerk. I swear. We were very isolated.
Sarah, do yourself a favor. Don't ever play the Injustice video game.
Oh no.
People who know that game well will understand what I'm talking about. I won't spoil it for you. But
oh, by the way, I forgot to say this in our regular podcast, but there was a scene in Arrow this week that had characters playing Injustice 2. That was a little Easter egg that I forgot to mention. That reminded me.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So if you're listening to this, I guess bonus content for Arrow this week, there was Injustice 2. Okay, continue.
Yeah. So what was I talking about? Oh, with the
Superman return.
Superman, the one, you could see the CG over his mustache.
Oh my god, I couldn't stop looking at his upper lip. I couldn't stop.
I tried to ignore it. I really tried.
Now, I haven't been following all the details of this. Was it for everything, or was it just for the reshoots?
It was just for the reshoots.
Okay.
Because evidently he's filming Mission Impossible 6 right now. And a key part of his character is that he has to have this bushy mustache. And he was called back to do reshoots for Justice League. And the Paramount executives told him he was not allowed to shave the mustache. So Warner Brothers' solution was to pay to have it removed with CGI. And the thing is, you can tell exactly what he shot for the reshoots, because it is, yeah. And especially because it's the very first scene of the movie, where these kids walk up to him and talk, and it's this great thing, and it's just like,
he kind of looked like a plastic mannequin. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, it wasn't good. But so it's bad when you spend all of Superman's screen time staring at his upper lip. Like, is that a reshoot, or is that a...
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say something that might get my microphone cut. I don't think Henry Cavill is a good Superman. Yeah, I said it. I don't think he has the hope and the wonder and the, I don't know, the goodness. I feel like I'm casting moral aspersions on Henry Cavill. But honestly, my main feeling when I left the movie was I would really like to watch a Christopher Reeve Superman. Because he was, I mean, we can't all be Christopher Reeve, I know that, but I just, and maybe it's Snyder, maybe it's kind of like with Brandon Routh. I thought he was a great Superman with a terrible script. I feel like Henry Cavill has grimdark Superman, and there's not much he can do with that, especially in this film. And I'm glad he came back wrong, and that was compelling storytelling. But I just don't like Henry Cavill as Superman. I like looking at Henry Cavill. I do not like him as Superman. Sorry.
I think it was much better in this than his last two outings.
And maybe I'm just so soured on the whole thing that by the time he comes here, I'm just like, oh, great. Another Superman is depressed again. Great.
Yeah. And I think it's the kind of thing. I thought his moments with Lois in the cornfield, on the farm, I thought that was cool. The reunion with Martha.
I did like those. Although, hello, why did they make Martha drive to them? Superman can fly.
It was a surprise. But yeah, no. I think it was no, because they paid for that one set. And,
It's got to be in the
uh,
cornfield. Get there.
yeah.
But I love that battle when he came back and didn't know who he was. And I really enjoyed
Mhm.
each of the superheroes using their own skills against him. That was cool.
Yes, yeah, and it did kind of point out the one problem that comic writers have always had with this Justice League is that you have to find a way to neutralize Superman because he could fix everything.
Hmm.
Um, and how do you know? And it is funny, like once he shows up, it's just like the whole weight lifts.
Hmm.
And the only thing that stops him from just destroying Steppenwolf right there and then is that he gets distracted by the civilians and he has to go help Barry. I thought his relationship, even though it was very brief, I thought the moment that Flash is running around, him fighting Cyborg, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman, and he turns and you realize that he's thinking at the same speed as Barry.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was a great comic moment. Um, and I did like their interactions and the tag scene at the end with the race. I thought I thought that was great.
Hmm.
That they're touching on those elements of the comics. They're getting into that more fun stuff. With the way
I
these
could have
characters interact.
used like 20% more of that,
Yeah.
I think, in
Yeah.
this movie. Maybe that would have, and I'm not saying I wanted a comedy, but
Mhm.
just lighter moments. And they did do a good job with lighter moments with the characters. Um, Bro Aquaman sitting on the lasso of truth and being like, yeah, maybe I just have been rejecting my heritage because I. So here's my thing with Aquaman. Him being in an isolated Norwegian fishing village, whatever, didn't it feel more appropriate to find him on a Southern California beach just surfing with a bunch of dudes? To me, that felt like his personality much more than cold fishing village in remote Scandinavia.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it does show that he cares about
Yeah,
people.
yeah. I mean, he doesn't need to help people in Southern California. They're doing fine. But his personality, it felt very, yeah, bro.
Hmm. Yeah, it also shows that he really likes the North Atlantic, and that's kind of like his zone. Um,
Yeah.
it,
What'd you think about the underwater fight? I
uh,
thought the effects were pretty good. I enjoyed it.
yeah, I think it's a good start. I want to see how James Wan is going to improve upon that in the Aquaman movie, and that is the next movie in this series.
Hmm.
Is going to be Aquaman. And I think they did. I actually expected more from Aquaman in this movie, but I do think the groundwork they laid was sufficient. We got to
Oh
see
yeah.
Mira. We got to see them interact. Mira is different in this movie than she is in the comics in the fact that she her first instinct is not to kill everybody. um because I don't know if you've ever read an Aquaman comic, but Mira is a very angry woman. um and
Hmm.
that is what you love about her is how much um she loves her family and being from Atlantis, and anything that threatens those two things, she will immediately pounce on. But she hasn't really gotten to know Arthur yet, so um, I'm really excited to see that relationship grow. And I think this was a good start. I talk about I don't this isn't necessarily the DC movie that we deserve just yet, but it's one that we needed right now. Um,
Yeah, the fact that people aren't leaving enraged, I think, is nice. I loved the classic music touches that you hear that old Superman
mhm.
dun, 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 dun,
Oh yeah.
and then the old Batman music. I
Mhm,
swear, even the Flash, I heard the Flash TV theme. Maybe that's just the
mhm.
sound that you play when Flash is on TV and you just or on screen and you can't help it. But wasn't
Yeah,
that great?
Danny Elfman, yeah, I think to me that's almost worthy of an Oscar nod. And I'm probably this is just me getting really out there, but I think he did a beautiful job with that score. And something that the Marvel movies, the movie scores have been lackluster.
Hmm.
Giacchino did something and did some interesting stuff with Spider-Man: Homecoming this year, but I think Danny Elfman really showed how you blend together all of these themes, and the fact that he wasn't afraid to go back to his own score from the Michael Keaton Batman and to bring in little bits of John Williams Superman theme. That he's just like, screw it, these are the music people know. And this fits these characters, and the way that it's not overt, it's very subtle, but enough that you notice.
Yes.
Yeah,
and it evokes the proper emotions. I think it's remembering what came before. It's almost a subconscious emotional reaction to it, but I thought it was lovely.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
Yeah. So you
so,
were not a fan of Steppenwolf?
I was gonna name me a CGI villain that's ever been effective. He was just a computer generated mess who wants to destroy the world. Like, how many times have we seen that villain? Every DC movie, every Marvel movie, this is a problem. The villains are problems. The villains, I think, that work the best often, and I haven't gone through and counted and looked and things like that, but Loki is a great villain. Loki is played by a human person. Hela in Thor Ragnarok. I had some problems with the Hela stuff. I would much rather have spent time on Planet Hulk, but Hela was a lot of fun, and that's a real person with a CGI headdress. So I think those do better than I'm talking to a wall of computers who is growling at me. Ugh, whatever. So I don't know. It was the typical, got to get this MacGuffin, got to destroy the Earth, got to stop this MacGuffin. Even Wonder Woman, you had Danny Houston, who was a human for most of it before he becomes the CGI bad guy. But I always find a human villain far more compelling than a computer generated one. But it's always the problem. I mean, villains kind of suck at these things.
Yeah, well, it's also because Steppenwolf is a holdover from when this was originally going to be two parts. That the first part they were going to face Steppenwolf, and at the end, Darkseid was going to show up, and we're going to realize, like, all right, that's the bigger threat. But I think also because Marvel's kind of doing that with Thanos in Infinity War, and I think when Snyder. Snyder hasn't officially said that he's stepping away from these movies, but I would be very surprised if he directs the next Justice League movie, especially with the tags that they put at the end of this one. I don't think we're going to see Darkseid right away. I'm actually kind of glad that I like Darkseid would have been the natural version. They do reference him here, but I think that's why you had Steppenwolf, is because originally he was supposed to be a stepping stone.
Well, I thought I had read things about Darkseid in relation to this movie, and then it didn't appear. So
yeah, well, evidently they reshot the whole ending. That was one thing. And you could tell that by Henry Cavill's upper lip.
Stop! I just forgotten. I will say I really did like the way they worked together with their different fighting styles. I enjoyed that they blended them really well.
Yeah, and yeah, they are doing different things. That moment where like Flash is freaking out, and Batman just tells him, save one person, and you realize like that's how they define the roles, and that's something that in Avengers they don't do. They just punch, and you don't realize who's more powerful than the other. And you realize that there are certain things. Aquaman can't fly. He can jump really high, but he can't fly. Cyborg handles tech, Flash does a lot of background work, and Wonder Woman and Aquaman are just kind of like the brute force stuff. And
explain to me Aquaman's powers out of the water.
Well, he it's kind of like he has super strength. He's like this big Herculean strongman. Now he and also can channel power with water. Not whether he's in the ocean or not, he can. Mira is actually more so of that, but he does have some effect on the water. And you didn't actually see him control any fish, even though Batman was constantly talking.
To be fair, he doesn't. The water talks to the fish.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. He can say, he doesn't, it's more like mind control where he can just point them in a direction and send them there.
Oh, like Ant-Man controls ants. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So my only introduction to Cyborg is from Teen Titans Go. So this was real jarring. Real jarring. What did you think about the Cyborg story?
Yeah, I mean that's straight up the Jeff Johns version in the New 52 version of the Justice League.
Hmm.
And I feel like they've done more with his backstory and character than they have in comics in a while. Although the latest Rebirth series of Cyborg gets into that a little bit. But he is kind of this tragic character who did not want this and had it sprung
Hmm.
upon him. And kind of learning to deal with, it's okay to be a hero. Um, and learning to deal with this second chance that he has, and this strained relationship with his father. I thought that was interesting. It's another thing I think they could have, I would have liked to see more. I doubt that Cyborg's going to get a solo movie, although rumor is that he's supposed to be a big part of Flashpoint,
That's cool.
which does make sense.
I loved that his dad, who created him, was played by Joe Morton from Terminator 2, who created Skynet.
Mhm.
So all I'm saying is, Cyborg, check your programming. Your dad made Skynet. So
Yeah. That guy does not have great luck with
no,
artificial
no,
intelligence.
step away from the tech, Joe Morton. I want to say he did tech in the TV show Eureka also. So Joe Morton.
Yes, he
Typecasting.
did.
But I enjoyed him, and I really did like, even though, I mean, everybody was a little underdeveloped because they were trying to develop everybody.
Hmm.
Um, but I did like at the end when he and Superman are trying to pull apart the cubes of destiny, the whatever, the life boxes, the motherboard, yeah. Anyway, as they're trying to pull those apart, Superman says, "I'd like to live," and Cyborg says, "Well, I would too." And it's just like, "Oh, honey, you've embraced it. Oh, good for you, Cyborg. Good for you." But I mean, again, it's super, super rushed. But you don't come to these movies for deep character development.
Yeah.
But I like that. Let's see. I also loved the Amazon League
Mhm.
sweeping in across the plains, just all those mounted warriors. That was super cool. I loved the Hall of Justice building. There were a lot of things I did like about this, quite a bit. Also, I was concerned. I had read some online chatter about Diana and Bruce being super flirty. Man, it didn't read that way to me. It read like colleagues worried about protecting the people they're sworn to protect and recruiting a team and kind of meeting each other on that equal ground. So I was really pleased with that. I didn't see a lot of, oh, Bruce, oh, Diana. So yeah, I was
Oh
pleased with
no!
that.
Oh, I feel she was a little flirty with everyone in this show, in this movie. You had those weird kind of like friendship moments with Cyborg. It's where Gal Gadot just has this infectious smile.
Mm-hmm.
That one moment with Barry after he saves her, and immediately has to jump off her.
I could have done without Barry Allen landing on Wonder Woman's boob. Yeah, I could have done without that. You can enjoy it. That's fine. But it made
Yeah.
me go,
See, but it's fun, and he immediately felt awkward about it. I think
oh, yeah, of
that's
course.
that's where the
Yeah.
humor came from. It was completely unintentional. Um,
Yeah. And I guess it could have been a lot worse with him being like, oh, I could have lingered there for days. No, But you're right. Gal Gadot just has, I mean, she's just infectious. She's just every scene she's in is better. So, yeah. But I really liked her and Bruce connecting on that. We need to get them their level, you know.
mhm.
So, also, I did not know that. Oh, I'm blanking on his name. No. Dr. Manhattan was in this. Billy Crudup. I did not expect to
Oh
see
yeah.
Billy Crudup. So Dr. Manhattan is Henry Allen. That was a surprise.
Mhm. I mean, no John Wesley ship, but
They can't all be John Wesley Shipp.
yeah, and the other thing, you got to see J.K. Simmons as Jim Gordon. Um,
Yes. Where he has, in fact, hashtag grown the stash.
yes, he has grown the stash.
Although,
Um,
again, I had a moment of J. Jonah Jameson. Why is he? Oh, wait, he's Jim Gordon. So I had a little confusion about which J character in the DC verse he was. Oh, I'm sorry, in the comic book verse he was playing.
yeah, and not a lot of Jim Gordon, but enough.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Enough.
okay, they cast him, so there's going to be more. There's going to be more, and I want to see them interact in the Batman, and to see what Matt Reeves does with that character.
Of course. Hey, so did you, like I, think that there would be some kind of payoff for that bug spray that little Russian girl, Ukrainian girl, whatever girl grabbed?
Yeah.
She makes a point of grabbing bug spray, and then we never see anything with the bug spray. I thought for sure she'd use that in some fashion.
Yeah. I don't know what that was about.
It just was a weird character beat. It was a weird moment to
Mhm.
focus on,
Yeah.
and then not have her at the very, very end shoot the spray in the face or something so like Superman could take it out. Missed opportunity.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was gonna be a mosquito flamethrower. I don't know. Um,
That's kind of what I was expecting, that like Flash would generate a spark and she could
mhm,
increase it somehow. I don't know.
mhm.
So my husband told me before I recorded this podcast, I really, really needed to read up on Jack Kirby and the influences he had on Justice League.
Oh yeah,
I did
there's
not do
fourth
that.
world.
So
Yeah,
you say things about that.
yeah, there's fourth world stuff all over the place. I like Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf was part of the New Gods, and he is a minion of Darkseid. Um, kind of like this herald who comes in to kind of clear the field. That's why I said he was a stepping stone to Darkseid.
Mhm.
And they didn't bring out Orion or any of the New Gods or Mr. Miracle or anything like that. But the parademons, all of that. It's this one point in the early 70s in DC where Jack Kirby had defected to DC Comics, and they basically said, we won't hamstring you with a writer. You can draw whatever you want. And he came up with these 3 series called The New Gods, Mr. Miracle, and The Forever People. And it's just this sprawl of imagination. Um, and
That's I like that phrase.
yeah,
Sprawl of imagination.
yeah. It is some of the most creative and visually exciting material you'll ever come across. And dialogue is kind of clunky, not to say Jack Kirby. um his writing was kind of, you could see why he was an artist, but um just the creative mind that he had was amazing. Just and
Mhm.
to see that finally be realized in a live action movie. And I'm kind of a little sad that we're not going to get to it quite as quick. That we're not going to see Darkseid. We're not going to see Orion show up, and to see how the New Gods are going to play into this, or Highfather. I'm sure we will get to that eventually.
Well, and
Um,
and I had read that they're not going to do quite as many universe interconnected movies. They're going to, was that Marvel or DC that's saying that? I
no,
feel
that
like
was, yeah.
I feel like
Well,
it's
see,
both.
like,
I mean,
okay, so here's the thing with DC is, because all of their movies have not been working to this point. They, every 3 weeks they come out with a new story about a different movie that they're developing, and it seems like they're going in all these different directions, and there's no one cohesive. Like Jeff Johns is supposed to be their Kevin Feige, but he's not doing that.
mhm.
And you have all of these solo projects that are coming up. So I don't know what the heck DC is doing right now. I'm hoping that this pushes them into a direction where they kind of integrate a little bit more. Although the last tag at the end, I'm kind of excited to see that too. I think that would be a better challenge for Justice League, where instead of going up against one big giant thing that's trying to destroy the world, to maybe go up against a gaggle of supervillains that are each matched against them.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, yeah, I have a question about that. Did we not on the DCTV report earlier mention that Joe Manganiello was going to be in the Deathstroke spin-off movie?
yes,
That wasn't Joe Manganiello, right?
I
Or
think that was Joe Manganiello.
was it?
Yeah,
What?
yeah. He
My
just died.
my lady eyes didn't work very well then. I guess all I could see was that
Yeah,
bleached hair, because I was looking, thinking this should be Joe. This should be Joe,
yeah.
like we're buddies. And then it didn't look like him. It didn't sound like him.
Well, it's because they made him up to look just like Slade Wilson in the comics.
Okay.
Manu Bennett does not look like Slade Wilson in the comics. He has the gray hair with the goatee,
Hmm.
and yeah, and the eye patch, and yeah, and they made up Joe Manganiello to look just like him. Which is why he doesn't look like Joe Manganiello. He doesn't have the hair.
I I will say, yeah, and he wasn't. He was wearing a shirt, so it's really hard to recognize Joe with the shirt
that's the other thing.
I mean, like, is he doing body rolls in a thong? Then I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Anyway, I was really, really pleased because usually, again, this is me, the not comic reader. Usually, those tags and those stingers, I have to whisper, who was that? What are the Infinity Stones? Things like that. But this time I was like, oh my God, that's Deathstroke.
Yeah.
I actually knew one. I knew one. I was so excited.
Yeah, that's Deathstroke. And Lex Luthor brought him on. And it looks like they're going to form the Injustice Gang.
I'm excited for that. I also like the return of Lex Luthor's yacht, which is a thing since Gene Hackman was Lex Luthor, isn't it?
Yes.
So that was exciting. Possibly it's been a thing in the comic books too before Gene Hackman. So,
but yeah, and I think that would be, if they're going to go with that with a team of villains, maybe some sort of a Legion of Doom.
If you will.
I think that would be an interesting challenge that I don't really think the Avengers has gone up against yet. They haven't faced the Dark Avengers in the movies.
Well, and getting back to my complaint, that would be human people as opposed to CGI monsters. And so that excites me if we're going to have Deathstroke and Lex Luthor and... are they going to bring on the Rogues? Which is, I mean, that's the other thing. Barry did reference a gorilla. Well, that might be a little bit of CGI.
yeah. But the movies could probably do Grodd even better than they do in the show.
I would hope so.
But I think this is already getting too long. We got to wind this down.
We had said 30 minutes. I did like Amy Adams as Lois. That I liked that the quiet moments of grief and the excitement that he was back. That I enjoyed very much, and of course Martha. And I guess that's okay. As we've talked about it, I enjoyed it. But I'll be excited for the Aquaman spinoff because he was a fun character. If they want to do a Flash movie, I would take that ride as long as we leave Sheldon Cooper out of it. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. So the next thing up is Aquaman, and then after that we get Shazam.
How excited are you?
Yes. And I think this worked out. So cool. Let's just bring this up. Thank you guys for listening. That's our review of Justice League. It's throughout the Twitter handles. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD. Sarah?
I'm Sara Netzley, SaraNetzley.
Follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice and check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Dostoevsky.
Shazam!